your ability to bounce back is not supposed to be easy. Think about it. We have done a lot of things that have put ourselves in circumstances and situations. And those things took time. Often, when we're doing things that are unwise, unhealthy, dangerous, we don't think about the consequences because in the moment, everything seems and appears to be okay. Risky behavior that we often take because we're getting something out of it, not realizing that right behind us, just like a tornado, we seem to be calm in the middle, but it's the outside that's being affected. Relationships, jobs, finances, um, friendships with individuals, um, dreams, hopes, goals. All those things are being damaged, destroyed, lost. And we don't recognize that until the storm has settled. Now comes a time of rebuilding. This is where we often find ourselves giving up. This is where we often find ourselves struggling. We're talking about from a mental standpoint, we're talking about from a physical standpoint. Often the two collide. Whatever's going on with us mentally, our brains, we dysregulation of our emotions, dysregulations from a cognitive standpoint, we find ourselves struggling to be able to do the simplest things sometimes. Getting out of bed, going to work, going back to school, saying I'm sorry to that person that's important in our lives, being able to go back out and start socializing with others. We find ourselves struggling because the damage has been done. We find ourselves in a place of shame, sometimes in torment. Often, symptomatic behaviors begin. Depression. Sometimes we're dealing with issues of low self esteem. Sometimes we're dealing with increased anxiety, problems with sleep. Other times we may find ourselves entering into new areas of risky behavior. Sexual promiscuity increases, alcohol consumption, drug usage. We may find ourselves working more than we should. We find ourselves getting late in deadlines and getting later and later, and we find no end as far as completing things. Here's what I'm saying. First and foremost, take a step back. Realize that you can bounce back from this, but realize also it's going to take some work, and it may take a lot of work. Sometimes it may mean burning that midnight oil. Sometimes that means being able to go to that person and taking the rejection, taking the pain that comes from that, because it's going to take some work. It's just like I've watched individuals that I've known that were overweight, and they said they're going to do the work to lose weight and get their bodies in shape. And they talk about the strain, the pain in their muscles, changes in their diet, where some days they feel like they're having headaches and their body is literally losing its mind because they're used to eating certain things, but they've cut themselves off or they've reduced it to such an amount that literally they feel like their body's actually in a rebellion against them. Mentally, spiritually, they feel drained. Many of us are dealing with this right now. Sometimes it means you may have to change how you relate to individuals. Just saying, hey, we can't go out tonight. Hey, we can't do these things this weekend because you're trying to reach your goal. We're trying to get back into stabilization. Realize it's going to take work. What I really wanted to talk about this morning are those who feel stuck, even at the point where right now they're not able to get out of bed. You may be laying in bed right now at this moment listening to this video. I want you to know, taking that first step, those first few steps, and telling yourself, you may have to repeat in your mind, you may have to look in a mirror, you may have to put papers on the walls that says you can do this, you can get back on track. Go back and have those conversations with those individuals that you'll have to be held accountable by. Go back and have those conversations and put together a plan. Put together your own plan. Listen to their feedback. Talk to those that you have a relationship with, and you may have to hear some hard things. But if they value you and you value them, take that input, as painful as it is, and you move forward. Sometimes this may mean some distance is put in place. You may have to go ahead and you have to move forward in that manner. But you realize that as you begin to show more and more, as you're building that trust back, as you're building the confidence back within yourself, you realize they will see that you're willing to do the work, and it may make them move forward. You can do this.